right? But to get the groom model, I need the girl to bribe her boyfriend. Am I right? And I'll be honest too, I've worked with all kinds of couples. I've worked with models. I've worked with, wedding planners. Like, I found this girl at a restaurant. She was amazing. And then I get the groom model, completely different, and I'm literally, they're sitting in makeup. I was like, girl, do you have a boyfriend? Like, it's gonna be awkward if you're like hugging on each other. So having a real connection, I think, is key. Professionals, work with other professionals that you want to work more with. Is there a florist that you have seen do amazing work on her Instagram and Reels, and you're like, oh, I would love to work with her? Know your settings, know what you are talented at, so you can share that with the group. And always be honest. I'm super honest. I like for our photo shoots and shoots to look like real weddings, but I don't present them as real weddings. We're very honest about that they are stylized. You can fine-tune different things like posing on real people. Now, I love magazines, Vanity Fair, Vogue. We get a lot of ideas outside the market, consumer electronics shows, different places like that. So always look outside the market, because guess what? If you're just looking at Brides magazine, it's already been done, right? It's already through the trend cycle. So you want to be thinking ahead. I have some wedding professionals that, out west, I can check in with and see like, what's coming down the pike? Like, are we still doing barns and boho? Are we getting a little more ballroom romantic? What are you guys seeing coming down the pike? Another great thing too is Pantone colors, right? Being able to jump on that. Pretty details. I have a rule in weddings and events. If they spent money or time on it, we photograph it. Same thing about styled shoots, photo shoots, things like that. Practice styling. Okay, so I don't know about you guys, but I got a little stir crazy during COVID. So I actually started like randomly styling stuff I had in my house, like the veil for my wedding, some cute shoes, some jewelry, just because I was like, I'm gonna get out of practice. And I'm glad I did, because I literally took my own ring and spent like 30 minutes getting a decent photo of it, right? And so then when we were able to open back up and start doing pictures, I was like, I got this. And shoot for fun, right? Now I know it's November, we've all had a crazy busy fall, so I tend to do more of these fun things during our off season, but you know what? Sometimes we need to shoot for us, right? You need a minute to show what you love doing and want to do more of. So don't be afraid to play. I have a lot of friends who model for me and do crazy ideas. I literally can be like, hey girl, we need to do a Barbie shoot, right? And you gotta get out there, you gotta have fun with it. This is another great one. When you create like a mood board or you have ideas, you can pick colors and kind of a theme, and take inspiration and ask the other vendors for their input as well. These are really great to share on social media. One thing you can think about is you can, one thing to think about is that you need to, hold on one second. You can use this different ways. For instance, Facebook tends to be more horizontal. You can take the single cake image and use it on Instagram vertical. You can do Reels, you can do TikToks and slideshows, so you can use this content multiple ways. And I love to be able to have just a little bit of different content, a little bit of text featuring the different vendors and things like that. Another great venue, this was a newer one. I think one of my favorite things is that we try and keep things consistent. So all the way from invitations to signs, things like that. So it looks like a real wedding, and they have more examples to show. And I think that's key. And so we've even had people like, oh yes, congratulations to the couple. I'm like, well, it's a style shoot, but thank you. So a couple more tips, always budget more time. Things always run late. I don't know about you guys, I'm like, one more photo, a couple more minutes. We want to try something one more time. Well, I do build a timeline, and we talk and communicate with everyone from makeup artists, hair, all the way to the end and cleanup time and things like that. So just know to build some wiggle room in your timeline. I love wedding planners for that reason. They can definitely help with that, and also coordinating with the other vendors, and also figuring out logistics of where to place things. And a lot of my wedding planner friends have taught me the difference between rounds and rectangles and sizing for linens. So yeah. Models often run late, and so can hair and makeup. We all have the best of intentions, so definitely pad your timeline. We all know weddings run late too, so style shoots. I like to have a photo list, and I like to make sure that we kind of know some key ideas about what we're trying to aim for. And definitely communicate that with the photographer too. You know, we're doing this to have fun, but we also like to know if you're like, Brenda, I have to get a sunset shot. Like, we're known for sunsets. Tell them that. They want to know. What do they need more of? And then I also like to think about what publication we want to submit this for. Some publications hate black and white photos. Some have to have the groom holding the bouquet. Some have very strict specifications about what they need for publication. So know what you're going for. Sometimes we're like, hey, this is a Pantone color. We don't want to worry about print. We want a quick turnaround time, so we're going to submit to these blogs and see who bites. Sometimes it just goes right to every vendor hurrying up and sharing. But by working with all those vendors, think about all those people that get to share, and you get their social media presence as well. I also like to think about different areas. I call them kind of vignettes. You want a ceremony area, you want a dessert cake area, you want kind of a getting ready, and then also you want your vertical, your horizontal, your wide, your tighter photos. And you know what? Another great option too that we're always really bad at is getting behind the scenes shots. So I love when my vendors get pictures of me taking pictures. So get those behind the scenes, get the setting up. The videographers do a great job of getting some video behind the scenes too, which is great. And if you're overwhelmed, it's okay. Start with a mini shoot. Super simple. One model, one outfit, one location, and see what you can do. This was a fun photo shoot that we did in conjunction with DAP and UC. The UC students got to take an old certain type of t-shirt, and they had to make it into a unique look and style it. And that was really fun. We had kind of a little interesting venue, and it was spring and it snowed that day. So you can just do and play around with like unique looks. You know, gotta throw in the unique prism that somebody handed us. Shoot with the end goal in mind. How do you want this published? Make a dream list of your top vendors and see who can say yes. Don't be afraid to ask. The worst they can say is no. I always bring extra clamps for dresses. Wedding planners, it's always great if you can bring boutonniere pins or things like that. Bring your emergency kit. I do like to bring in an assistant. Sometimes the wedding planners and other vendors bring just someone for extra hands, eyes, and ears. Someone who can help me move things, run and go get the bouquet, and look for exit signs and things like that, or for those clips that I talked about. A lot of times we borrow dresses from dress stores and they don't fit perfectly, so we do sometimes use clamps, but if you can do a fitting, I do encourage that. And then, I don't know about you guys, but I always bring lots of gear. My husband has a saying, one is none in technology, so you want to make sure you have extra, all kinds of equipment. Florists, please bring extra shears, extra clippings for photos. DJs, please bring extra lights in case I trip on one. All of those things. And one thing I like to think about too, so when we plan these, it is like planning another wedding. It really is, right? Planning your 16th birthday party, in my case, those kind of things. Things happen. But I tell you what, I always bring extra equipment because even if I'm shooting something for free, I've photographed events for like wedding planners, like for free and things like that. But you know what, if I showed up and my camera stopped working, would you ever refer me again? If I couldn't complete that even free assignment, I wouldn't. If my DJ just stopped playing and had no backup, and I got a gig going on, I'd be very upset. So I was bringing additional equipment, and I do expect a lot, you know, for my other vendors too, because I'm gonna see how you do this event, and if, you know, we work well together, I can't help but recommend you. So yeah. Another great photo shoot. This kind of had a fun Victorian steampunk to it. One of the unique things about this that I loved was we put a top hat underneath the cake. So that took a little bit of figuring out and how to make that work and not have the top hat, you know, fall apart. That was vintage and a whole of a cake. Try out anything new before you go to an event or do a styled shoot. For me, I do get a lot of new lenses and cameras, so I go to some place like Chrome Conservatory and practice there. You want to make sure you have a model release for all of your models, especially if you're using these images on social media. It needs to be for commercial. If you're a photographer, you can get model releases for free if you're a member of Professional Photographers of America, or you can get them different places or ask your lawyer. And one of the things when you're overwhelmed, I want you to just think about, it's important that you're just better than you were the day before. That's all you're doing, is that continually improving and practicing. And again, I like to get that safe shot for my couples. Same with these photo shoots, get the safe shot, get different versions, and then have a little bit of fun with it. And definitely be inspired and create mood boards, but be inspired by things other than actually published wedding magazines. And again, always have at least 2 unique ideas that will make your shoot stand out. This was one of our Pantone ones that we photographed, which was super fun because we actually photographed it and then it became a Pantone Color of the Year. And you know, my good buddy Kathy Peach Lucas was like, oh, we've got the photo shoot for that. We have that one all ready to go. So a little ahead of the times on that one. And I'll give you a key tip too. If you're like, what might the Pantone color be? Do you know how the trend works? It actually starts with interior design, and then it goes to fashion and then to weddings. So if you can look ahead and try and forecast, that's helpful. This is also great for practicing what not to say. Don't say oops on a wedding day. I dropped a flash and I said oops, and the father of the groom did not look so happy. So practice for sure. Ask for permission before adjusting. So I do like to ask. Technically, as photographers, and if you're a doctor or a physician or nurse, you don't have to ask to touch someone because they invited you to do that, but I like to gain the trust of my models, so I do like to ask, may I adjust your piece of jewelry? And I tell my models and my couples all the time, I just want to make you look great. There are no wrong answers in this posing, but if we do it a certain way, you're going to look your best self. So they love hearing that, and I will even talk them through it. Models love it because isn't that what we want? You look at your picture, and what's the first, oh, how do I look? It's not how's my expression, how's the fold of my dress, it's how do I look. And I do personally like to have a say in the hair and makeup, and when I have models apply, which is easy to do, I make sure that they submit an image that is current. And I do like to have a little bit of control over helping to choose models as well, personally. This is really fun. I love board games, so one of my friends was like, hey, I want to do Candyland. So, of course, that was super fun. It's led to other photo shoots, too, where we get to play with really unique looks. Is this going to book me a wedding? No, but it's really fun to show off to other photographers and has led to other really fun fashion things, which is great. Other really fun shoots, just the one on the left is just going on a photo walk with other photographers and having models show up in an alleyway in Cincinnati. The one on the right is going to Mansfield Reformatory, where Shawshank was photographed, and she was a previous bride of mine, so I was like, hey, let's go have fun. And I will tell you, working with theater people, awesome tip, because they really get in on some crazy ideas, and they know about costuming and lighting and things like that too. Definitely always do a walkthrough with your venue. Pick a date based on the venue and the key players. You want to show colors, themes, and ideas and get everybody on board. I like to be respectful of people's time. We all know that is a resource that we just can't get back. And definitely be realistic about editing. Now I know, people mentioned that's the hard part, is having to sit down and edit and maybe being able to use AI and things like that. So be realistic about turnaround times and things like that and sharing. Know where you're going to submit and have that in place. Know your vendor's cell phone numbers and know which vendors you can count on and will come through. Another thing that I use a lot is called this or that. And I usually only use styled shoots because I don't like to compare my brides or grooms. And so you can show like, hey, what's your style? Or what bride vibe do you have? Things like that. Content is king. We all need more content. We need things to show. So I think that's so important on social media, having something unique. And then like the one on the left was something when Hotel Covington was opening up, we could kind of show. So I'll give an example. I wrote a blog post for search engine optimization. What are the top 5 hotels that you should be recommending to your guests to stay at? So that was one of the pieces. The one on the right, we did for like a local coffee shop and a coffee press. So that was just kind of fun to share. And then we made sure to tag like the wood board that we used, the coffee and the coffee maker. Leave space for text, we talked about that. I think that's really key to be able to use those for multiple reasons. So having some of that extra space on there. So also going back to AI, you can do generative fill and actually expand your photos a little bit. You can even have them fade to text and things like that too.